A pleasant good morning to you. It is Wednesday, October the 27th. I'm Shane Seeley, and this is the CBC Morning Report. Over $408 million. That's the amount of money owed to the government by Barbadian taxpayers up to August 31st. However, the Barbados Revenue Authority has launched a new plan in an effort to collect outstanding arrears. It's called the BRA Payment Plan Program. Communications Officer Erica Lazar tells the Morning Report the program was created to give defaulters a chance to clear their tax arrears.
What it is that it's all about having a payment program for you, tailored to you. So it always depends on what your financial situation is. So what one person has to pay back, or like what they have to pay every month over a certain amount of time, will be different to somebody else based on what their situation is, what their income is, and so on, what the tax debt is, and so on. So it's not a one size fits all, which is good. This gives you an opportunity to contact us. The conversation is what we are encouraging, because you don't want to have a situation where somebody has tax debt and then interest and penalties are accruing, and then you hear next year, the show, it's just too much for them to deal with. So if you owe tax, contact us, get in touch with us. Don't be afraid, and we will work with you. We will work with you on a way for you to be able to clear that tax debt in a way that is manageable and reasonable.
However, Ms. Lazar is warning those defaulters who are refusing to pay and ignoring notices from the BRA.
Obviously, if we realize that somebody is they're not responding, they're not making any effort or so on, obviously we'll have to escalate it. And there are various things that we can do. Obviously, in the land tax legislation that we have the ability to auction your property or your land to recover that unpaid tax that you have on that property. There are other things as well. I mean, there are things called unpaid tax certificates, where we basically take you to court. There are garnishments where we can garnish your paycheck. But the point is that we don't want to get to that point.
Meanwhile, she's reminding the public about the approaching deadline for land tax discounts.
This year, we have extended the discount deadline. So you have until this Friday, October 29th, to take advantage of the 10% discount on your land tax bills. So these are the land tax bills that were issued earlier this year, the 2021, 2022 land tax bills. You have until this Friday to take advantage of a 10% discount on your bill.
The communications officer spoke exclusively to the Morning Report as the BRA aims to reduce foot traffic coming into the authority's offices due to concerns about the current COVID-19 climate. That's why the BRA has moved to an appointment system only for in-person interactions. The authority is meanwhile pushing its online self-service. And for those still struggling to use the system, you have the option of calling the new call center. So you can call 429-3829. That's 429 e-tax from 7:30 in the morning to 8:30 in the evening. We'll take a break here, but coming up in our COVID-19 updates, reports of more deaths and a record number of COVID-19 cases here in Barbados in a day. Barbados's COVID-19 death toll has risen to 146, with 7 more deaths. A 40-year-old Barbadian woman died on Monday at the Accident and Emergency Department of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Also, a 53-year-old Vincentian man in primary isolation and 2 Barbadian women, ages 58 and 81, who were in primary and secondary isolation respectively, succumbed to the viral illness at Harrison Point. Now, yesterday, 3 Barbadians died from the virus. There were an 82-year-old woman and an 87-year-old man who were both in tertiary isolation at the Blackman and Gollop Isolation Facility, and a 54-year-old woman who was receiving primary care at Harrison Point Isolation Facility. All of the victims were unvaccinated. Meanwhile, new COVID-19 cases here in Barbados have surpassed 400 for the second time in less than a week. A record 445 positive cases were recorded on Monday from the 2,223 tests conducted by the Best dos Santos Public Health Laboratory. The new positives consist of 87 individuals under the age of 18. There are now 768 people in isolation facilities and 4,693 people in home isolation. Now, there's a report of a spike in the number of COVID-19 cases among members of the homeless community in Barbados. The president of the Barbados Alliance to End Homelessness, Kimar Safri, says they've been monitoring the situation. He gave the details at a media conference yesterday.
We would have gotten about 6 to 7 positive cases that we would have seen come in. There are more that are getting tested, and as they get tested, we are seeing them. And so far, we have just around 20 persons that are positive within the homeless community, and there are some from within other places that we're getting called for. And so as we get those information as they come in, we make sure that we reach out to them.
And Mr. Safri says efforts are also being made to ensure COVID-19 protocols are in place during the distribution of food.
We've spoken to Salvation Army, and we've also spoken to Calvary Moravian Church in Robert Street, and here at the shelter as places that you can feed the homeless. And the reason why we put these 3 particular places so that the feeders have option, but it also controls the when they're here, because once they're here at the, let's say for example at the homeless shelter, staffing is here to control the distance. They're here to make sure their masks are on, they're sanitizing them. We are also taking names. That is very important, because what we've recognized is that some people at feedings are not taking the name, so you don't know who's at the feeding and who may likely be able would have been in that circle and move off.
Over in Jamaica, there are renewed calls for government to mix and match COVID-19 vaccines. This comes as thousands of vaccines are set to expire in less than a week.
Over 100,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine will expire in 6 days. Despite efforts by the government to ramp up its vaccination drive across the island, the take-up continues to be slow. Then, there are scores of people awaiting the second dose of the Pfizer vaccine. It's still unclear when the next shipment will arrive, which is why public health specialist Dr. Alverston Bailey continues to stress that the Ministry of Health considers mixing and matching vaccines.
This has been shown to be effective in Spain, in the UK, in Canada, and in Germany. Of interest, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel was the first head of state to receive a mix and match vaccine. Therefore, I'm recommending that all those who have received the Pfizer should be offered the AstraZeneca as soon as possible. We also can reduce the time frame for AstraZeneca's second dose from 8 weeks to 6 weeks.
The FDA last week approved mixing and matching vaccines. It also recommends booster shots for special groups. Dr. Bailey laments there is no risk involved based on the scientific data.
The studies done in Spain and the UK have shown that when vaccines are mixed and matched, especially Pfizer and AstraZeneca, the immune response is significantly higher than when the 2 vaccines are used alone. The side effects are essentially quite similar. Therefore, there is really very little risk as far as efficacy and safety.
We again put the issue to Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton.
I've seen conversations taking place in different jurisdictions where it is being proposed, but there have been no sort of official approval of this from the organizations that we would normally consult with and take advice on these matters from. So it's still very tenuous, but however, I think we will comment when we owe it to the public to comment more decisively on it in very short order.
The COVID relief effort in Haiti is under threat as hospitals there may grind to a halt in the ongoing fuel crisis.
United Nations health officials say dozens of hospitals like this one may close in the coming days. The reason? A shortage of fuel. Gangs have been hijacking fuel trucks as they leave their depots. The companies that own the trucks are now afraid to even try to make deliveries, so the hospitals are running out of fuel to power their generators. The public electricity grid here is very unreliable, so most hospitals use generators. Now the generators are running out of fuel, and the result will be that the hospitals can't operate their equipment. And the result of that will be that many people will be in danger, especially children, people with COVID-19, pregnant or nursing mothers, and many, many others.
In Venezuela, millions of students are heading back to the classroom after a long closure due to the coronavirus pandemic. The President Nicolas Maduro's government had delayed the restart of in-person classes several times amid new peaks in infections and vaccination delays.
Many schools across Venezuela have reopened their classrooms 19 months after the pandemic forced them to close, and after several delays due to rising rates of infection.
We've created the conditions to return safely to classrooms. The administrations and the teachers have been working to make sure the return is safe, so that parents feel comfortable.
After so long without face-to-face learning or playing with his friends, Juan is clear about what he expects from school. He says he wants two things, to play and to learn. His mother, Miriam, says she was nervous about the return, but it was necessary.
He's happy to be coming back. They need it. Communication with other kids, to play, to share things with their teachers, that motivation.
The government has called the reopening campaign a drop of love for my school. This video, released on one of President Nicolas Maduro's social media accounts, shows workers sprucing up school buildings and the state delivering vital learning equipment. Although he admits many pupils have abandoned their education.
We'll invite them back so they can return to the classroom.
However, many teachers and parents say buildings are in disrepair, supplies are low, and thousands of teachers, the lowest paid in the region, have left the profession, or joined the millions who have fled Venezuela to escape poverty and inflation.
I don't think the conditions are suitable for children to return. There are schools that lack water, that are not equipped, that don't have the infrastructure.
Many teachers, like Joanna, have supplemented their meagre incomes by inviting pupils into their homes.
We are very concerned because we are going to find many gaps in their education. For example, if they were in first grade when the pandemic began, they have already passed to second or third, and maybe they don't know how to read.
Official figures say the virus has killed less than 5,000 people in Venezuela and infected 400,000. However, many health experts dispute those numbers, as well as the government claim that it has vaccinated 80% of teachers. The welcome return to school in Venezuela is proving to be fraught with difficulties, with the COVID-19 pandemic highlighting and exacerbating many of the problems the country's education system was already facing.
Let's go over to Wendy now to hear what's coming up on today's edition of Morning Barbados. Wendy?
Good morning to you, Shane. Good morning to our viewers on Morning Barbados. Well, it's all about athletics and artistry this morning. We'll be telling you all about the Beltway battles as a young Barbadian boxer gets ready for a big setup in the Beltway battles in Washington, D.C. We'll also be talking about the third installment of the Bridgetown International Arts Festival. There's an open call for all of you who want to participate in the festival in 2022. So these stories and more, Shane, coming up on Morning Barbados.
Well, right here on the Morning Report, you'll hear who's the person asking for a rethink of those protocols, for the new protocols for fully vaccinated travelers, and you'll get an update on the situation with the Water Authority as they fix that burst in Cattle Wash. The Member of Parliament for St. Philip North and Chairman of Committees Dr. Sonia Brown is calling for a rethink of the recent changes to entry protocols for fully vaccinated travellers. The government MP also expressed disappointment that the president of the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners, the president of the Barbados BAMP, that's Dr. Linda Williams, had been left out of the discussions. Dr. Brown voiced her concern during parliamentary debate on the Debt Settlement Arrears Bill 2021. Here's what she had to say.
I would like us, well, we like to say following the science, but I would like to know the scientific explanation. And I know I speak up for the members of BANT when they say so too, with respect to how the protocol of letting in tourists without a second test, which would be at day 5, which an event would be maybe 2 years in a hotel. Two days in the hotel, which can really put off somebody on vacation. I would like to know how that comes into play here, especially where we have issues of the Delta. Yes, it's community spread, but the truth is the Delta, as far as we know, the Delta Plus and the Gamma are not here as yet. And the only way I see it logically is for that to be here is to come in through the ports of entry.
Meanwhile, debate on that Debt Settlement Arrears Bill 2021 was led off by the Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Ryan Strawn. He says with the current Series F bond set to expire on September 30th, 2022, and arrears to be paid on that date, government is creating a new flexible Series bond to settle the debt.
Unlike the Series F, which had a defined period of April 1st, 2019 until September 30th, 2022. And I signal certainly to all those persons that claims are due. Like basically where we are, sir, with respect to what we are doing here, we are simply putting a framework in place, sir, to ensure that the settlement of the principal of those arrears can be done over the 42-month period. All of these bonds, sir, as have been the case since we completed the debt restructuring, all of these bonds are capable, sir, of being traded within the context of the open market.
In other news this morning, we are hearing it will take another 2 weeks for the Barbados Water Authority to complete major work on that 10-inch main at Cattle Wash in St. Joseph. The assessment is coming from the Director of Engineering, Charles Leslie, who's provided an update on what has been done so far. Mr. Leslie had earlier reported some difficulties with the project and disclosed plans for a fresh section of the main to be relayed at a shallow depth.
The Barbados Water Authority is going to be doing a replacement of a section of the main, 650 meters. That work started basically yesterday. We started to mobilize the equipment, and we are currently welding up the new pipe and excavating the trenches for the new main. We're giving ourselves approximately 2 weeks to be able to get the main replaced, completely replaced, and commissioned. Commissioning would involve making sure that it is sanitized properly and the water quality of the water going through the main meets the health standards, so that we ensure that the water going to the customers is good again.
According to a United Nations climate report, current commitments to cut greenhouse gas emissions have put the planet on a track for a catastrophic average 2.7 degrees Celsius temperature rise this century. And just days before the crucial Scotland Climate Summit, the United Nations Environment Programme says national plans to reduce carbon pollution amounted to weak promises not yet delivered.
The report gave a 60% chance that temperatures will rise 2.7 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. To keep the increase below 1.5 degrees, global emissions will need to be cut down by nearly half, and in the next 8 years. The UN warns that many G20 nations, including Brazil, China and India, are likely to emit more emissions by 2030 than they did 11 years ago. Well, earlier I spoke with Inga Anderson. She is the UN Environment Programme's Executive Director. She says they will hold nations to their promises to cut emissions.
Well, at this point, right, countries have given in what are referred to as NDCs, these promissory note, national determined contributions, where they've said this is what we are stretching our ambition to do. And when we add it all up, it shaves off 7.5% of our emissions. So if we want to land at 1.5, we need to be much more ambitious. We need to be 7 times more ambitious and reduce by 55%. If we want to land at 2 degrees at the end of the century, and honestly we don't, then we need to increase our ambition by 4 times and reduce by 30% our emissions. So there is a to-do item here, and the G20 countries, these 20 large economies, are responsible for 78% of all emissions. So the to-do item lies with them. And within the G20, obviously, the developed countries have a special responsibility to really step up. But actually, everyone does. All 193 member states of the United Nations must step up as best they can.
Pledges to get to net zero emissions, according to this report, could make a decent difference. But then only 11 of those targets set by various countries are actually enshrined in law. And even those only cover 12% of global emissions. So what's the point of making these pledges if they're not going to be made good on?
Well, we obviously are going to hold everyone to their words. These net zero pledges have not yet been formalized in the submission to the Convention for Climate Change, But as you say, when we take these net zero pledges into account, instead of hitting 2.7 degrees at the end of the century, we hit 2.2 degrees. That's still too much, but it shows what is possible. And so what we're calling for now is that these net zero pledges that have been announced by heads of state and otherwise, that they now be formalized, that they be reflected in law, that they be reflected in plans and in action, and that they be reported to the Climate Change Convention.
Time for sporting news now, and Bangladesh in action against England. Bangladesh chose to bat and are currently 26 for 3, losing early wickets of Linton Das and Mohammad Niam, both to Ali. That's against England again. So Moin Ali in the wickets column, early wickets for him. He's two for very few. Just 2 for 18 runs from his 3 overs so far. So he's most likely going to bowl out. Right now at the crease, Shakib Al Hassan, he's on 4 off 7, and Mushfiqur Rahim, he is on 8. Actually, Shakib Al Hassan just gone, bowled Wokes, caught Rashid. So Bangladesh in early trouble at 26 for 3. Of course, you can continue to follow all of that action on MCTV's ESPN channel 308. Still focusing on the T20 World Cup, the Windies skipper Kieron Pollard says they now unfortunately find themselves in a must-win situation to have any chance of making the semi-final stage of the ICC T20 World Cup. This after losing their second consecutive match yesterday, the latest one to South Africa.
We put ourselves in a position where as
refused to get into debate about Quinton de Kock's controversial pull-out before the match. Pollard, who has played cricket alongside de Kock for the Mumbai Indians in the IPL, Indian Premier League, says he will comment only when he gets a clearer picture.
you guys know our thoughts on this matter. It's something that we feel strongly about, as a team and as a people, as well, and we will continue to do it. So each and everyone has their own opinions on it, but as I've always said, once you're educated and you understand, we will understand you doing it. But I think education sort of is the key, and we don't want anyone doing it for us in solitude or feel sorry, for us.
The two-time champs will next play Bangladesh on Friday in Sharjah. Time now to look at the weather. .2 degrees Celsius on the outside. It's fair right now, and it's feeling like 31 degrees Celsius already. The relative humidity stands at 71%. The barometric pressure this morning is 1013 millibars, and those winds are coming out of the east just above 40 kilometers per hour. We'll get a high tide at 25 minutes to 9 this morning. There will be a low at 3 minutes to 1 in the afternoon. The next high tide will be at 16 minutes after 7 tonight. Those seas are smooth in open water. Swells have dropped a bit, between 1 and 2 meters right now, but I expect them to increase. Today we'll get a mix of sunshine and clouds with a few intermittent, widely scattered light to moderate showers. And tonight, much of the same, a mix of clear skies and clouds with the occasional, intermittent, widely scattered light to moderate shower. And here's a quick look at the international weather forecast. And that's it for today's edition of the Morning Report. I'm Shane Seeley. Morning Barbados starts now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
And good morning to you and each and every one of you, whether you're on our TV8 or viewing us online this morning here at CBC TV8. Now this morning, I'm Wendy Burke, and we're going to be getting straight into the boxing ring. Yes, we're going to be telling you all about a Barbadian boxer. His name is Kobe Abridi, and he will be along with his management and trainer to tell us about the Beltway battles. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, I'm a bit scared now. Let's get in the ring. Okay, gentlemen. Kobe Abridi, Barbadian, now resident in Maryland, and he's going to be taking part in the Beltway battles. We have Derek Curry, his co-manager, and Floyd Seymour, who is his trainer, manager, and a former Olympic boxer. Now, if I can start with Floyd, you would have gone to the highest level doing the Olympic thing. What prompted you or what interested you in this Barbadian style to make you want to be part of his management team?
Oh man, it's crazy. Me and Kobe here, because I am one of the Bahamas Olympic coaches. We met Kobe back in India, back in I think 2011, 2012, something like that, at the Commonwealth Games. Then we became better friends in Panama. We went to Azerbaijan, and I just liked Kobe Abridi's style of boxing. It was so fantastic. So I just told him I want to work with him. You know, if he ever come to America after he leaves the military, that's it. You know, we just have to have him over here. Okay. And he decided to come over.
Okay, and for you, Derek, who's the manager, how has he been working out? And I'm asking you first because you're responsible for him.
It's been nothing but joy. It's been great. Kobe's done everything to prepare for this fight. He's done everything we asked. He's ready. He's ready to win a championship belt come Friday, and he's been great. You know, he's been training his tail off and just wants to represent.
Okay. What are the Beltway battles? How big a boxing event is that? Tell me about it.
It's pretty big. It's pretty big. Yeah.
Pretty big.
Okay.
There.
Yeah.
Pretty
now, he's coming up against a Ugandan, and it's going to be a 10-round bout. Kobe, are you ready to go all these rounds, or will you have him out before round 3?
I'm ready. I'm ready to do whatever. Sure. But first of all, I want to shout out my coach Floyd, my people in Barbados, the people here in the DMV. I want to shout out the BDS Sports Program, the Barbados Boxing Association, Olympic Association. Everybody been a part of my life for me to get to this point in my career. I want to give all of them a shout out. But October 29th, Soldier Breedy is war ready. We're going to war. Don't be there to watch it. Barbados watch it. And let's be Kobe Soldier. You're going to make this happen. Bring this belt back to Barbados.
Yes, because that's your name in the ring, Kobe Soldier. Now, how well would you say that BDF program prepared you for where you are now, Kobe?
Oh yeah, the BDF sports program prepared me, man, not just in my boxing ring, but prepared me in life as a man growing up. It showed me discipline and all that hard work that the BDF showed me. It prepared me for this time right here, and it helped me along my journey to become great.
Okay, now you are a featherweight. That's the category you're going to be boxing in. Tell us about a little bit about your style in terms of how you punch in the ring.
All the my style, whatever my coach, my team want me to do, or whatever they see that wants me to perfect or work in that's may help me win the fight, I'm gonna just listen to my corner and just go out there and dominate.
Okay.
Kobe's a soldier. Kobe's
So-
with the sharks and swimming in the ocean. He's ready.
Okay, so that means, Derek, that when we see Cobia in the ring, we can't expect the same fighter each fight because he varies his style according to the opponent?
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Kobe is a very experienced fighter. He's been in there with all types of fighters, so he can adjust to any style that his opponent brings. A lot of fighters are one-dimensional, but Kobe can fight in several different ways.
Okay, well, that's good to know that he's Beijing born and trained and he has more than that one dimension. Now, I want for you to tell me a bit about your competitor, Kobia. Have you been watching Suleiman Sagawa and fights he's done previously to try to just know exactly what his style is, how you're looking to attack him, where, you know, tell us how you've been prepping for him especially.
Now we've been training. I watch a little film on him, but my coach Floyd right here, he prepares me for war ready. So, like I said, a BDS sports program helped me to get here. So whatever he brings to the table, I'm a soldier. BDS sports program, I'm ready to go to war. I'm gonna be ready for whatever he brings.
Whatever he brings, Kobe is a soldier, ready, you'll be ready.
Is this his biggest fight to date?
I would say so. I mean, yeah, it'll be his biggest fight because it's his biggest professional fight. We fought last year. King Tug for the #1 seed to fight Gary Russell. To fight for the world title on pay-per-view. But since that, this will be like his biggest fight, definitely.
Okay. So what are the stakes here? What's on offer apart from the belt? What else are we getting out of this match? What is
That's something that Derek over there, I'll let Derek take care of that. Yeah, what we got, Derek? What we looking like?
Well, I mean, it's a lot at stake. I actually am the scout and recruiter for Mayweather Promotions, Floyd Mayweather's promotion company, and they are very interested in seeing what Cobia does Friday night. And it looks like we will have a spot on the roster for Cobia after Friday night. I have no doubt that he's going to win the fight. He's going to win big, and he's going to become the WBC Intercontinental Championship. And once that happens, you know, the sky's the limit. Everything, you know, he worked hard for, it's going to pay off.
So I find that point you made extremely interesting. You work for Mayweather. Tell me a bit more about that and how Cobia can add to that that particular family.
Yes, I've been friends and working with Mayweather Promotions. Leonard Ellerby, who is the president and CEO of Mayweather Promotions, is one of my best friends. And you know, I met Kobe through Floyd Seymour, and you know, liked what I saw. Talked to Leonard Ellerby and Floyd Mayweather and told them about Cobia, which both of them knew who he was, and told him that I was interested in him being a part of Mayweather Promotions boxing team. And from there, you know, they kept eyes on him. I've got to work closely with him now and help manage his career. And, you know, our goal is for him to become world champion and get as many belts as he can and honestly make as much money as he can.
Well, I'm glad you came to that because I'm looking at your Sweater the Money team and I'm hoping that you're going to be able to put some money in Kobe Abridi's pockets and
No
also
doubt.
let the soldier become a star.
That's right. That's the goal. That's the goal. And not only that, but beyond boxing, a lot of athletes, particularly fighters, when their career is over, they have nothing to show for it. And one thing about Mayweather Promotions and Leonard Ellerbe and Floyd Mayweather, they look to make sure that their fighters, when their career is over, that they have invested well, that they can still live a very comfortable life, and do the things that they want to do post boxing when they
So
retire.
we're ensuring we bring the balance to the ring, not just
Definitely.
the fight, but the future.
Yes.
That's great to hear that he's in good hands. Now, the match is being brought to you through Rising Star Promotions in association with Events DC, DHH Productions, and CCM FB Boxing and Millions Company. Now, these Beltway battles, what installment is this one? And how many people are anticipating it? Because it's going to be the first time that we're returning to that arena. So what kind of audience can Kobe expect to be there cheering for him?
I mean, DC is going to be behind him. The DMV, what we call it, will definitely be behind Cobia. They know Cobia very well. Again, this Beltway battle is promoted by Tom Cornflake Lamada, who is actually the promoter for Rising Star Promotions. He actually has a 4-fight deal at this arena, so this is the first Beltway battle of 4.
Okay. Now, tell me, Floyd, in terms of Cobia and where he's at mentally, a lot of people are of the opinion that sometimes us from the Caribbean have the talent, but psychologically, the international opponents are able to psych us out. How have you prepared him for that part of it?
I think by Kobe, a couple of things. By him being with the BDF program, and also by him being a worldwide traveler. Like I said, we met around the world, from India, Panama, Ecuador, Azerbaijan. By him being such an international traveler, he can't really hard for him to be psyched out. And also by him being, I guess, within the military. Since I met Kobe, our training style, our training regimen, every time we spar or fight, we fight in a different gym. So we always against a different new opponent. So every week we're fighting somebody new, different opponent. Then we get to the point where we're in the ring with like people like Sean Porter. We're in the ring with world champions. So by him sparring and in the ring boxing with world champions, it makes it that much easier for him to understand what a world champion should act like, what a world champion should think like, what a world champion should be like. And that's one of the main things I think that's keeping him calm and stable during this event. Because yes, right now it can be very stressful, but we're doing the same thing that we do for all our fights. We coming in there, Kobe is going to war. You know, our training regimen, Kobe is doing his nighttime running. We're doing all of the crazy stuff that we do all the time, working on different styles. Kobe Soldier Breedy is gonna go big. And I think
if I can just
people
ask
happy.
Cobia here, in terms of getting Barbadians behind you, I understand that you want to be able to come into the ring to a song, a Barbadian song, and you're asking the Bajans to help you choose that song. Where do they go to help you make the choice? What handle do we use on Instagram, Facebook? How are you doing it, Cobia?
My coach brought us about texture this morning. But you could hit him up on his Instagram. You could hit me up on my Instagram at Kobe Soldier Breedy. You could hit me up on my Facebook at Kobe Breedy, and my Twitter at Kobe Breedy. You could just hit me up and send in the song request. Or send it to the radio station. You guys email it to us.
We're gonna make it happen. Best Bayesian song, we're putting it out.
So
Asian
what are some of your favorite songs, Kobia? What kind of music from back home gives you that charge in the ring?
So since I've been over here in the U.S.,
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of hip hop music. But yesterday we was in the gym, right? We was playing the song with
Proud Beijing.
the Power Beijing, the blue, yellow, and black with
Blue, yellow, black.
Oh,
blue, yellow, and
Natalie?
black, and some song with Allison Hines.
Allison Hines. Oh, okay. So
Yes,
those are some of your
yes,
favorite
yes.
people. Okay. Well,
Yes.
let me tell
The
all three
lyric,
of you gentlemen. Yeah.
I said
The
lyric is one of my favorite people too.
Oh, lyric. All right. Hyper dog. That's your action.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, we will definitely be on board helping you to choose that song to bring you in the ring and to know that you will be repping the 246 once you touch down in that arena in DC. Kobia, Derek, Floyd, I wish all three of you all the best of luck on October 29th, and please bring home victory for Barbados. We're proud of you.
Yes, yes.
We definitely will.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
so much, gentlemen, for joining us. It was my pleasure to have you, and we definitely want to hear the results of that match. So make sure as soon as that bout is finished, you post those results so we can raise that Bajan flag and say, well done to you, Kobia Soldier Breedy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. That's Morning Barbados. When we come back, we'll be looking at the arts and the Bridgetown International Arts Festival. There's an open call for you. Are you going to answer?
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're back. And here with us now is Miss Andrea King, and she's with the Bridgetown International Arts Festival Open Call. The festival will be going into its third edition. It will be held in 2022. Good morning to you, Andrea.
Good morning, Barbados. Good morning, Wendy. It's so good to see you again.
Great to
Thanks
see
for
you
having me
too,
on
my
Good Morning,
friend.
Barbados.
Yes, we're happy to have you here. Now, we're talking Bridgetown International Arts Festival. For those who don't or are not familiar with it, can you just give them a quick synopsis of what it's really all about?
It's a new festival. It's a festival created by artists for artists. And we work with a team of professionals and new people, including the students in the Barbados Community Colleges Arts and Entertainment Management Bachelor's Program. Partners of the festival include Odyssey Entertainment, Jazzling Hall Worldwide, and It's Michelle Doyle PR. And together we create this multidisciplined arts festival which so far has featured theater, music, and dance and spoken word. The
Okay.
open call is put in that way, in that open call way, so that anybody from anywhere in the world can participate, because the festival is intended to ensure that artists from across the world can perform on our stages and share our culture with us.
Now tell me how these performances will be able to manifest themselves, because we are in COVID-19.
I knew that question was coming,
It
and Barry
has
Knight from
to.
Odyssey Entertainment made me rehearse it, but I didn't need to. Let me start by saying that when the Hero Festival in 2000, among the last three public events to be held, I think Mosaic was one. We were held at the um, Courtney Blackman Grand South, the inner Blackman Grand South.
Okay.
What we'll do this year, it becomes necessary to hybrid uses the past, and using our social media forms.
Okay.
So
Well,
if at that time, in March of 2022, people can gather, then we will have the face-to-face concert. Failing to do the live performance, record it, and then cast it. The
okay.
open call closes on
Okay, the open call is going to be closing. When you were saying exactly, Andrea, because she seems to be having some technical difficulties. So let me just tell you some background to it. The festival is meant to be a form of celebration, relieve stress, and provide an avenue of expression for commerce and economic development for the artistic community. Okay, Andrea, you're back with us. Okay, we'll sort that out shortly. Now, when we're looking at this International Arts Festival, which has been produced by artists for artists, the public is being reminded that the arts impact us all around, and they're important and fundamental to the development of our country. We are always talking about cultural capital and the arts and what it really means to be able to build and sustain our economy and to generate not only full-time employment for some, but part-time. So they will be having a number of graphic artists, event planners, theater producers, actors, performers, musicians, the technical service providers, media service providers, clothing and beauty stores, and food service providers will be part of that exercise.
Okay.
Okay. Andrea? Yes, you're back with us. Let's not let those
Yes, let's
technical
hope that the
glitches daunt us. Yes, and that your internet
Yes.
holds up. Now, you were giving me the
Yes.
cutoff deadline for the call. And also, when you
It's,
give me that
on-
deadline, what's the maximum that you can take on board for 2022?
The festival open call closes on November 30th, our Independence Day or our Republic Day, and there's no max. It's a juried. You participate by being selected. After you submit your information, a jury, which includes the professionals that I mentioned earlier, will do the selection based on how we want to program the festival. And of course, we can't make it too long, so we have to create a package that is about 2 hours in length. So it really depends on the type of performers and performances that are submitted. Last time we had a total of about 22 performances in dance, theater, and music. This time I'm not sure what will happen. For the festival, the second edition, which was held this year, do it completely online. Next year, in March, we hope we will be able to do a face-to-face. In order to do that, we need the artists to submit their applications to the open call. It's November 30th. You can check media pages. The Instagram is Bridgetown Arts Festival. Our Facebook page is Bridgetown International Arts Festival.
Okay, now in the past, because it's Bridgetown and international, you have had people from as far as Sierra Leone and Senegal and Trinidad, St. Lucia, Grenada, Jamaica, the US. Now, how much further afield are you hoping to have registrants from, especially since our connection to the African continent has been widened in terms of our foreign relations with those countries?
Thanks for that question, Wendy. We would like people from all 54 states of the African continent, and we South Africans who also applied in the first and the second year. So hopefully they will apply again. Europe is a source market for our tourism, Europe including Brexit notwithstanding. So we would that we get people from Europe participating as well.
Okay, now after the participation and the festival has wrapped itself up, how much collaboration have we been able to see between the artists? How much movement have we had in terms of a commercial aspect, in terms of moving their wares back and forth between the two to generate that economic activity?
The festival actually started like that because 4 performers in the first edition, that would be Neck, the artist known as Neck, Stoned with Cupid, and Cindy Marshall, who's now Cindy Celeste. They participated in a South African festival, which Culture and Arts for Love and Living, which is the producer of the Bridgetown National Arts Festival, facilitated the participation of 3 artists in that festival. And because they were able to interact with artists from across the African continent and America, when they sent out the information through their social media for artists across the world to participate, we got a good response from many artists in South Africa. Unfortunately, none of them were able to physically be in Barbados. And last year, many of those same people and some of their colleagues from South Africa and from Ghana submitted applications for the open call. We had to do the festival online, so when you check our social media pages, you may be able to see performances from some of them. This year, I'm not sure, next year, I'm not sure what will happen regarding COVID, but collaborations certainly can happen in the digital space. And I know that Cindy Celeste and Stone with Cupid are actively working their contacts on the African continent. The festival intended to help facilitate that type of active collaboration, and we hope that as the world opens up for more face-to-face performances, we can see that actually happening both here and anywhere else in the world.
Okay.
I want to underscore, Wendy,
yes.
that the festival is intended to help generate an organic way for artists to make money for themselves. It is a festival like the Crop Over Festival in that independent producers can create their own art production, and we're focusing arts, dance, music in all forms, not just calypso or so.
Okay, before we go, tell me how I can actually make that open call. Where do I send my information?
And the spoken word. We would be very
Okay, now, sorry for those technical difficulties, but we will let you know how you can reach Andrea and be part of the open call. Morning Barbados will be back.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
depends on what your financial situation is. So what one person has to pay back, or like what they have to pay every month over a certain amount of time, will be different to somebody else based on what their situation is, what their income is, and so on, what the tax debt is, and so on. So it's not a one size fits all, which is good. This gives you an opportunity to contact us. The conversation is what we are encouraging, because you don't want to have a situation where somebody has tax debt and then interest and penalties are accruing, and then you hear next year, the show, it's just too much for them to deal with.
But there is a warning for defaulters who are avoiding the BRA's notices and refusing to pay.
Obviously, if we realize that somebody is they're not responding, you know, they're not making any effort or so on, obviously we'll have to escalate it. And there are various things that we can do. Obviously, you know, in the land tax legislation that we have the ability to auction your property or your land to recover that unpaid tax that you have on that property. There are other things as well. I mean, there are things called unpaid tax certificates, where we basically take you to court. There are garnishments where we can garnish your paycheck. But the point is that we don't want to get to that point.
The news comes as the BRA has moved to an appointment-only system for in-person interactions, with the aim to reduce foot traffic at the authority's offices due to the COVID-19 concerns currently. The authority is also pushing its online self-service, and for those struggling to use this system, you still have the option of calling the new call center. You can call 429-3829, that's 429-ETAX, from 7:30 in the morning to 8:30 at night. Now, Barbados's COVID-19 death toll has risen to 146, with 7 more deaths over the last 2 days. 2 men and 5 women lost their battle with COVID-19, all of them unvaccinated. Meanwhile, new COVID-19 cases have reached a new daily record, surpassing 400 for the second time in less than a week. 445 positive cases were recorded on Monday from the 2,223 tests conducted by the Best dos Santos Public Health Lab. The new positives consist of 87 people who are under the age of 18. There are now 768 people in isolation facilities and 4,693 in home isolation. MP for St. Philip North and Chairman of Committees, Dr. Sonia Brown, is calling for a rethink of the recent changes to the entry protocols for fully vaccinated travelers. The government MP also expressed disappointment that the president of the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners, Dr. Linda Williams, had been left out of the discussions. Dr. Brown voiced her concerns during parliamentary debate on the Debt Settlement Arrears Bill 2021.
I would like us, well, we like to say following the science, but I would like to know the scientific explanation. And I know I speak up for the members of BANT when they say so too, with respect to how the protocol of letting in tourists without a second test, which would be at day 5, which an event would be maybe 2 years in the hotel, two days in the hotel, which can really put off somebody on vacation. I would like to know how that comes into play here, especially where we have issues of the Delta. Yes, it's community spread, but the truth is the Delta, as far as we know, the Delta Plus and the Gamma are not here as yet. And the only way I see it logically is for that to be here is to come in through the ports of entry.
Another 2 weeks, that's what it will take for the Barbados Water Authority to complete major work on a 10-inch main at Cattle Wash in St. Joseph. The assessment is coming from the Director of Engineering, Charles Leslie, who has provided an update on what has been done so far. Mr. Leslie had earlier reported some difficulties with the project and disclosed plans for a fresh section of the main to be relayed at a shallow depth.
The authority is going to be doing a replacement of a section of the main, 650 meters. That work started basically yesterday. We started to mobilize the equipment, and we are currently welding up the new pipe and excavating the trenches for the new main. The we're giving ourselves approximately 2 weeks to be able to get the main replaced, completely replaced, and commissioned. Commissioning would involve making sure that it is sanitized properly and the water quality of the water going through the main meets the health standards, so that we ensure that the water going to the customers is good again.
That's it for your 7 a.m. headline news. I'm Shane Seeley. Over to you, Andy.
Why, thank you, Shane. Morning Barbados will be back after the break with our crumbs question of the day. So get to your phone lines, 228-5562, 228-5563.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And it's time for our crumbs question of the day. And it's time to get those running shoes on, because it's another athletics question. When was the National Stadium officially opened? When was the National Stadium officially opened? 228-5562, 228-5563, if you know the answer to this question. Crumbs Bakery, the National Stadium in Waterford, when was it officially opened? Hello and good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning to you. How are you?
I am well, and what about you?
Well, I would be well if I could win the kit.
Well, you can win it if you have the answer. And if you don't win, you can always buy those delicious crumbs cakes.
Right.
Let me hear you.
I would have a guess 1975.
Oh, you are so off the mark. No, no, no. You're going to have to take those running shoes off. When was the National Stadium officially opened? Well, I guess it wouldn't only be running shoes, because we also used to have cycling at the stadium, football at the stadium, lots of different things. If you're accustomed going to sporting activities, you should know when. Oh yes, it did have a cover, but it's under renovation, so hopefully things will be back to normal soon. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. And do you have the answer to my question? When was the National Stadium officially opened?
October 23rd, 1970.
And where did you get that answer from?
A good friend of mine called Google.
Listen, Google is not Barbadian. Are you sure he's correct?
I am sure he's correct this morning.
This morning?
This morning, yeah.
100%. You willing to bet me half of your kit?
You are indeed correct, ma'am. October 23rd, 1970. But even though you've won, that doesn't mean you can't share the cake with me. So thanks.
That's okay.
All right. Will you stay on the line and give your information to our producer? And congrats to you. The answer to our question this morning: when was the National Stadium officially opened? October 23rd, 1970. We'll be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And welcome back to Morning Barbados. We're going to be looking at breast cancer awareness, but we're going to be looking at it through a different lens. We're going to be looking at it through the eyes of artistry, and we're going to be talking about that mural, which is up there on the Purity Wall. Good morning to Shakita Grant, who's the CIBC First Caribbean Walk for the Cure manager, and Mr. Shane Eastman, who happens to be the artist. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, welcome to Morning Barbados. Now, let's talk about this mural. If I can just go to Shane first. Now, it is being billed as the longest mural, 261 feet of running wall space to paint on. Have you ever embarked on anything that large before, Shane?
Maybe not as long, no, but as of recently, I've done some murals, yes, so I have experience with I have.
Okay. All righty. So, Shakita, we are looking at breast cancer awareness. Why did First Caribbean decide to be part of this type of venture? We know we have the walk, the run, all the other things, but why now a mural?
For the past 10 years, First Caribbean, CIBC First Caribbean has been committed to Walk for the Cure. And with the walk, we not only raise funds for breast cancer, we also focus on breast cancer awareness. For the past 2 years, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we weren't able to have our very large walk in Warrens. So we thought that this mural would be a good way to still commemorate and show our support and awareness for breast cancer. So that we wanted to make sure we launched it this month to do so. And Purity's Bakery is a stone throw away for the breast screening program at the Barbados Cancer Society. So we thought everything was quite harmonious in the way it happened in terms of the location as well.
And they willingly came on board through the Goddard's group, them and other
Purity.
sponsors. Mm-hmm.
Purity Goddard's Enterprises Limited in general was totally amazing. We had our first meeting with Purity and they definitely came on board. And then we had a meeting with the corporate people at Goddard's, and they not only came on board, but they invited Marshall Trading. So everything you see there is a full collaboration between CIBC First Caribbean and the GEL Group. in terms of GEL corporate, Purity in terms of the wall, and Marshall's Trading in terms of all the material used on the wall.
Okay. Shane, if I can switch back to you now. The mural is meant to depict the strength of women. Tell me about some of the images that you will be putting out there and, you know, how they are symbolizing strength.
Well, initially I wanted the mural to be direct. I used words and typography. People will be passing by, driving and walking. Not everyone will be able to take their time, but they'd be able to get a glimpse of the words on the wall. Words like power, strength, grace, joy, beauty. And people, as I was working on it, they were able to connect with it just in a matter of seconds, you know. I also have two women painted on the wall, which in my expression and from my interpretation and investigation help best express, you know, what women would be feeling during whatever experience they have, any fears or any comfort they may find, any resolve they find, any strength they may feel in the moment. I depicted that in the pieces.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do these women look like? Because Barbados has a cross-section of women, several different ethnicities, and, you know, breast cancer doesn't decide to only target any one particular group. We don't know when it will find and who. So how have you embodied that strength in terms of what they represent?
Well, I use a style that is pop art. So through that, you can get an idea of different types of people. It's not necessarily too specific on ethnicity. You can get a variation of visuals from one image.
Okay. Now, when I pass and see that mural, what should it evoke in me? How aware should I become of breast cancer? And both of you can take turns on this particular question. What do you want it to evoke from those who pass along Colomara?
Well, the interpretation is kind of up to the viewer in the moment, but from my experience, a lot of people have just been feeling joy, you know? As I said, the words are very uplifting. I mean, even if you're not even faced with breast cancer, the words are still uplifting. But the fact that it's well branded in that direction also highlights, you know, breast cancer awareness. So everyone is able to connect with it.
Okay. And Shakita, what does First Caribbean want this to bring to the people's minds first and foremost when we're talking about breast cancer awareness?
We want really and truly people to act. When you see that mural, we want you to be reminded that the breast screening program is just a stone throw away. And if you haven't booked your appointment for your mammogram, we want you to do so. And we also want you to add in terms of your regular self-checks. So the mural is beautiful. It really amplifies the space. But we really want you to take action when you see it and to be reminded that your best protection is early detection. So we do really want you to act.
Okay, and we have the ribbon in its standard format, and we also have it with wings. I guess that would be for those who have unfortunately passed on as a result of the illness?
Yes, it is. It's really in their memory. And from my experience, I've had several family members that passed away from breast cancer. So it seems as if it's a great way also to honor their memory when I go there. And yesterday, I took the opportunity to take the photos with the wings in back and got to really think about my family members who are not here with me anymore.
Okay, and that's another thing I believe too, Shane, that you want the wall to be used for. So people who are celebrating the survival process with breast cancer can also come and take a selfie against the wall or with a friend, what have you.
Yes. It's an interactive section of the wall, so people just come and take their pictures and enjoy it visually. It's very beautiful. I think Barbados really does need a lot more spots like this as well. I'm just really pleased to see how people have responded to it. It's a very good experience.
Okay, and I'm happy that a young man such as yourself was willing to
take on that charge and that responsibility to bring your work to light and to also stand in solidarity with breast cancer survivors. Shakita and Shane, I want to thank you both, Shakita Grant and Shane Eastman. Shane is the artist, Shakita is CIBC First Caribbean's Walk for the Cure manager. Thank you for being our guests on Morning Barbados this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, have a brilliant morning.
You too.
Oh, yes, and we are also here at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation and Morning Barbados helping you with the pink ribbon. Where is it? Remember, you only have a few days left to get it in before the 29th. 5 days, 5 locations. Let's see where they are.
We out.
Send in that information to morning, no G, Barbados at cbc.bb by the 29th. Where are those 5 pink ribbons? Landmark number 1. Landmark number 2. Here we have number 3. Can you tell me where number 4 is? And landmark number 5. Who sits in that chair? So, if you have the answer to all 5 of them, please be sure to send them to us via email, morningbarbados@cbc.bb by the 29th of October. And our sponsors who brought this to us, we have the Crane Hotel, Stansville Scott, Emerald City, Carlton and A1 Supermarkets, Abed's, and our final sponsor, I'm not making out too clearly there, Bougainvillea Hotel. Yes, the emblem isn't looking that familiar, but they have been on board with us, and we thank all of the people who have sponsored the Pink Ribbon Breast Cancer Awareness. We all need to join the fight. Morning Barbados, we'll be back.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning and welcome back. It's time now for us to manage those managerial challenges. And pulling something out of that first aid kit will be our author, Joan Underwood, who is a coach, talent development specialist, master trainer, and change practitioner. Good morning to you, Miss Underwood.
Good morning to you as well and to your viewers.
Yes. Now, this morning we're going to be talking about where the buck stops. Now, I don't have a buck, I have a dollar. Does it make a difference?
So here's the thing. As an individual contributor, you know you're responsible for the work that's on your desk at your station. So you're responsible for yourself. Once you become a manager, you become responsible for an entire team, an entire department. And things will go on, either because of us or in spite of us. And in those instances, the buck needs to stop somewhere. Someone needs to take responsibility when things go sideways for ensuring that we get back on track.
Okay, well, I guess in this instance, we can't say that it will be collective responsibility because I'm the manager wearing the hat. So, where does it stop?
It stops with you as the manager. So yes, there is collective responsibility, but at the end of the day, someone has to stand in the breach to own up for the situation, to ensure that the situation gets corrected. And as a manager, you've been assigned a team, and you are ultimately responsible not just for your performance, but for the performance of your entire team or your entire department.
Now, sometimes in the midst of that management, say I have 7, I may have a situation where 5 are pulling, 2 are not. What do I do in that situation? Especially if they don't want to come up to the ante.
Okay, so at this point, I'll introduce 3 terms and we'll see how successful managers navigate those 3 terms. So the 3 terms are responsibility, blame, and accountability. So we know what we're responsible for. Those are duties that we have to execute, whether it's you or as the manager or those other members of the team that you just mentioned. Everyone needs to know what's my responsibility, what's my contribution to the team. And so you have job descriptions that will tell you what your specific responsibilities are. Now,
if I
in
could
the
just
event
stick a
that
pin, that issue of job descriptions, I have been hearing oh so frequently, especially now in these COVID times, that's not in my JD. That's not in my JD.
All right, so that's why you have that ubiquitous clause, any other duties as assigned. Now, it doesn't mean that you put in unrelated things and expect someone to just do whatever. So they do need to be related to your substantive role and to the operation of the organization. So any savvy HR practitioner is going to ensure that there's such a clause in the statement of work conditions, because there's no way that in advance, when you're preparing the contract, you can think of every single duty that will ever come up that you will need to ask this individual to execute. So there does need to be that, any other duties clause so that you can capture it. But again, it's not something to be abused.
Okay, so point 2 and point 3. Well, before I go to point 2, what about exploitation? When I seek to enforce my will as a manager, am I really stopping the buck, or am I looking to spend an even greater dollar?
Okay, so let's lay the framework. So we have the responsibilities that have been communicated, which have been understood. All right. If, as you suggested, there's someone who's not carrying their weight, that's when accountability comes into play. And there's a very important distinction between accountability and blame. Blame is completely backwards oriented. You're looking at the past, and the objective is to punish. So if something goes wrong, you want to know who did that, who's responsible, and proceed to throw them under the bus, you proceed to punish them. That's the blame approach. Contrast that with accountability now, where the question is, what went wrong? Why did it go wrong? And what do we need to do to ensure that going forward, we do not have similar occurrences? So again, to contrast, blame is backward oriented and focused on punishment. Accountability is future oriented. It's focused on figuring out what went wrong, why it went wrong, and what systems and processes and changes, even with personnel, need to be put in place to ensure that going forward you get a better outcome.
Okay, so therefore they've done wrong. I don't call them out on it, and neither do I punish them. Where's their accountability to their responsibility?
So you absolutely do hold them accountable, but not in a way to name and shame or to blame. It's to look for an opportunity for learning. So if a mistake was made, why was this mistake made? Is there something wrong with the system, or is there something wrong with your understanding or your ability to operate within the system? How do we close that gap? Because remember, we're future oriented, so we're not dwelling on the past. The past is a point of orientation for us to figure out what happened with a view to moving forward to the future in a way that will give us better outcomes. So you're not blaming people, but you're holding them accountable for their actions or inactions.
Okay, so don't blame, but seek to correct in a way to take the company forward.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what else will this buck buy me within that? What are the other things I need to know outside of those three to ensure that it's done correctly and that we all learn in the process?
All right, so I love the question in terms of what the buck that stops with you, what does it buy you? It will buy you the trust of your people. Because if your direct reports know for a fact you're not going to throw them under the bus, you're not going to leave them out there hanging to face the music all on their own, they will trust you. It also buys you credibility with your clients, your customers, and others within the organization because they see that you're willing to step up to the plate and make things right. Now, you can show up as the person on whose desk or as whose workstation the buck is going to stop. You can show up as a victim, as someone who's powerless. Oh, I don't know what they did. I don't know how it happened. Or you can take ownership, right? Make yourself aware, investigate what happened, come back with solutions, own it. And that's how your stock goes up. So your buck will buy you trust, it will buy you credibility, it will buy you a reputation of being a problem solver and someone who holds him or herself accountable.
How can I ensure that that employee is not looking thereafter to exploit that trust platform that we have built? Because I may have to caution him or her about a few of these things, not blaming, not shaming, but I recognize that it tends to be a pattern in their on-the-job behavior. What then?
Okay, so then you need to have a conversation about expectations, performance standards. And oftentimes we don't communicate well around these things. We assume, oh, they know what they're supposed to do. So there's a conversation, a performance conversation that you have with your direct reports. Here are the standards that we expect in terms of your performance. Let's look at the reality in terms of where you are and engage them in that. So it's not just you telling them, but asking them questions. So how are you showing up? From your perspective, do you think that you're meeting the standards? And if they're not, then you have a conversation about the gap, what's required to close the gap. Again, not from a blaming perspective, but a beautiful question to ask if there is indeed a performance gap. How can we best support you to close this gap? So it may be a case where they say they need training, the equipment or the processes may not be working as intended. And so as the manager, you then have the responsibility to help them to close the gap. But we come right back to the accountability, because once you provide the support that they've identified that they need, you then say, so going forward, having provided you with the support, the expectation is now that you will meet these performance standards. You give them a time frame within which they are to come up to the standard. And in the event that they don't come up to the standard, then you may have some decisions to make about whether or not they're fit to continue in the role.
Okay, and with these standards that we're speaking to, could they also help to form the basis of, say, the individual's performance appraisal, if indeed there is that type of check and balance within that particular work environment?
That's exactly what I'm alluding to. And, you know, in current HR best practice, we're moving away from the performance appraisal that happens once a year to more of a performance management or performance coaching approach. So think about it. Is it really the best course of action to only be having performance conversations once a year? So rather, it should be on an ongoing basis that you're engaging your people, that you're giving them feedback, identifying gaps that exist, coming up with performance improvement plans to close any existing gaps. Even your high performers need this type of feedback, because if you have a high performer and you're just taking them for granted, it can have an adverse impact on their morale and their motivation. So you need to be giving them the positive reinforcement and giving them some stretch goals so that they feel challenged, they feel motivated, and they're constantly learning and growing in the role.
Okay, and I guess for the ones who we are seeing the deficits and the gaps in, continuous training would also play a key role?
So as an HR practitioner, I am very cautious when people look at training as a panacea, a solution for everything. Training is the appropriate response if there is a knowledge gap that needs to be closed, and there's some skills that you can also augment or enhance through training. However, the gap may be due to something else. So if it's a case of the systems are obsolete or they're no longer fit for purpose, or the equipment is not, you know, optimally efficient and effective in doing the job. So diagnosing the nature, the cause of the performance gap is very important. Yes, sometimes training will be the solution. Other times the gap may be something that's due to an attitude, for example, in which case training is not going to rectify an attitude. So there may need to be some counseling and some coaching that happens in order to effect the required change in attitude. So you first need to be a diagnostician in terms of identifying the source of this gap, what's the cause of the gap, and then applying a fit for purpose solution.
Okay, so tell me, Ms. Underwood, what should be my two main takeaways when I want to stop the buck?
Okay, first of all, don't view your people as the problem. View your people as potential problem solvers. Okay, and that mind shift can be very impactful. Think of how, if you're looking at somebody as a problem, how you're going to show up in that conversation, versus if you're looking at them as a potential problem solver, someone who can come up with solutions. You interact with them quite differently. The other thing, don't look at mistakes as fatal flaws. Rather, look at them as learning opportunities. What lessons can we extract from what went wrong here so that we move forward stronger, better positioned to serve our clients and each other?
Well, thank you for drawing that from the first aid kit for us, Ms. Underwood. It was a pleasure to have you this morning, telling us all about where the buck stops and how we need to stop blaming but become accountable and take responsibility. I wish you a pleasant Wednesday morning.
Thank you, and the same to you and yours.
I thank you kindly. Morning Barbados will be back after the break, and we will be talking about rum.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Welcome back to Morning Barbados. We're going to be looking at entrepreneurship and also the creation of a special rum punch called Island Links Rum Punch. And to do that, we have the owner of Island Links Rum Punch, Mr. Lindsay Babb. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning, listeners.
Okay, now you are doing rum punch. What got you started in that area?
Well, it started as a joke. I have a little kiosk, a little variety shop. So a friend of mine was just sitting there. So he just said, "Okay, we want something unique to this shop." I said, "Like, well," then he said, "Okay, drink." I said, "All right, rum punch." Off I go. The very next day, approach a guy that makes rum punch. But then he wanted to use his own brand and all that, so that was not working out for me. So I had a friend that was a bartender way back in the day, like probably 10 years before that. So he said to him, "When I see make rum punch," I said, "Man, I really don't know." I said, "Well, you gonna make something to get," just like that. As the week goes on, we tested it. It took actually 6 weeks for the first one because we want specific taste. Then the old time mix, that's the first one that was born. One day
Okay,
we
you
were
said a
actually sitting
first,
at the,
which means you have more than one product on the market?
yeah, sorry, there are three. Actually three.
Okay, right.
Three different flavors.
So that's how it got started. Now, Island Links, what is that about? Why that name?
Basically, Island Links is to connect people all over the Caribbean people because there are Caribbean people in every country on earth. So it just came up in the barber shop with a friend of mine. So I was looking for something. I was looking for something to attract Caribbean people all over the world. So we was toying this name, and this name came up.
Okay.
I went
so
to
we're-
register it, had little challenges. So hence the spelling.
Oh, okay, why there's no D. Well,
No
no
S.
K and S at the end. So we go with a Z.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Island Links. Now, outside of that initial hurdle with your registration, have you had any other major battles in your quest toward entrepreneurship?
Yes. Finances was the most restriction, but I got that sorted with the help of the Barbados Trust Loan Fund. Good morning to everybody. Our staff doing a great job. Yeah, they helped me along the way, not only financially, but seminars and different types of stuff that helped me create rum punch a bit different to the ordinary rum punch. Because there's
Okay.
a bit of science.
I see. Now, you also utilize some of your skills to help you in your branding, and you do your own graphics for your labels and so on your bottles.
Yes, I do. Self-taught graphic artist, web designer. Been doing that probably about 10 years or so. But I just keep it to a certain market. I don't really do it for everybody.
Okay, but you do it for that punch. Now, tell me
Yes.
about these three flavors that we have and what makes each one different to the other. And then also tell me about the interesting color, which I heard you have.
Right, okay. First, the old-time mix rum punch, which is a traditional way of making rum punch, plus some other things we added. The second one, coconut, that was the most taxing because coconut is something that goes off very quickly. And although we do use coconut rum, I've learned to extract the flavor from coconuts. So you can actually taste coconut flavor inside my coconut rum punch. The blue ones, I just pushed the boundary that I did my research for about 2 months and found out that there was never been a blue rum punch nowhere in the world. So I said, okay, let me push it to the limit. So I created blue rum punch. The first 2 weeks, were hesitant, but after that, I just can't get enough of blue rum punch.
Okay, and are you willing to tell us the secret of this blue?
The secret is made by me for everybody.
Okay, I see. Not giving anything out of the bag. Okay, now I realize that you are already in a number of our supermarkets and mini marts, and you mentioned your own kiosk where it is sold. How are you you looking to expand?
Right now, as we speak, I'm going through some negotiations with some people outside of Barbados. There's a liquor store in Jersey that has expressed interest. There is two that expressed interest, and there is a person in St. Vincent who's trying to be distributor for the rum punch in St. Vincent. Right
Okay.
now.
Can
But
you
the
get
most,
to that
the most common,
capacity?
yes, I can, but it's about a learning experience, nowhere to go, which I really don't. So I'm just navigating and asking questions to find out how to export, how do I go about this. There are prerequisites for entering countries in terms of what's supposed to be on the label, the amount of alcohol. I'm going through them right now.
Okay, so you want to make sure that you meet all the international requirements and the sanitary measures, etc., to get your product beyond the shores of Barbados.
Yes.
Okay, so now this blue one, is it a major cash generator, say, around independence? Do people see it as a novel thing to celebrate with during the time of November?
Well, the blue rum punch, people like it because it's different. So, to be honest, I have done a lot of gift bags with this blue rum punch, especially to people who are coming into Barbados and want to hear about something. They always hear about the blue.
Okay, as opposed to the coconut and the old time.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess that will soon be your flagship rum punch.
Yes, so to speak. Also I have another one coming out shortly, but still testing. Like I said, it's not, my rum punch is not just made the traditional way. It is a bit of science into it.
Okay.
But I think I've pushed rum punch to the boundary.
Okay, now how potent is it if it's at the boundary? Will it leave me flat or will I be able to drive 6? How strong is the alcohol content?
It's not. It's very tolerable. Very tolerable. I must tell you, it's very tolerable to drink. Hence, the amount you consume will determine the end result.
Okay, so where do you do your blending and your bottling?
We have a little lab. It's in St. Mike area. I won't say where because we don't really sell from there. Where we do our testing, where we do the mixing and stuff like that. We also do a bit of curing, but it's not the entire scientific way. We found a way to cure it that you could do at home.
Okay.
But I just won't say.
Okay. And how long have you been making this rum punch now, Lindsay?
This is about 3 years now. I have been doing rum punch.
Okay.
Despite the many challenges, yes.
Okay. Now, is it likely that you might want to move from the rum punch to any other spirit? Do you maybe perhaps want to try making vodka, or are you satisfied right now with the rum punch and being able to take that further?
Well, at this point, I just concentrate on rum punch. I'm trying to actually create a rum punch that is not made the traditional way of determining the mixture that everybody know. Like I told you, there's a bit of science involved. Mixing future, yes, I will tell you other mixes. Yes, definitely.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that the trust loans would have helped you. Is there anybody else that you've gone forward to be able to assist you in any way?
Yes, the BNSI, the Mornin Hearing, the Barbados Lab, and the BIDC. Those are very key people. It's not, contributions are not always in finance. It's advice, showing you certain things, introduce you to international standards. So yes, everybody has helped me tremendously. I want to thank everybody for that publicly.
Okay. And given that you are still fighting your fight, what would you encourage other entrepreneurs who are now on their journey? What would be some of your words of advice to them?
Only do what you're passionate about. If you are going to make money, you will not make any. You'll hustle every day of your life. You have to be passionate about it. and you have to willing to do the necessary things. No shortcuts. If you know you're supposed to get it tested in lab, go. If you know you're supposed to be NSA standards, go. Whatever you need to do for your brand, I encourage you to do, because shortcuts are very short-lived. Hence the word shortcut. It could damage your entire brand for the rest of your life. So I don't want that. So I try to do the right things.
Now, I realize that you're marketing in a 750 ml. Say I wanted to be able to do gift packs for an event I'm having. I'm a tour guide, I'm a tour rep. I want to give the tourists who have booked with me a little something to take back. Is it likely that they could perhaps get some snaps of all three of the flavors, a mini here or there? I'm having a cruise, I want to get a couple gallons. Is there scope for other bottling sizes?
Of course. I have sample bottling in the little 50 cl this week. There are 4, so sometimes you get 2 Time-Mates, coconut, 1 blue, or 2 coconut, 1 old Time-Mates.
Okay, and where would I find those smaller ones?
To get the full taste.
Where would I find
you could
those
contact me
ones?
at 828-43.
828?
Well, contact me at 828-4913.
Okay, now I've got it clearly.
Or you can hit me up on all my social media, Island Links. Remember the spellings with a Z.
Okay, now outside of doing your own marketing in terms of your graphics, etc., how else have you been pushing this rum punch? Where else can I go to find you, or are you affiliated with any other events, individuals, etc.?
Right now is in 2 supermarkets, which is the Jordan's Group, and the blue one is available in Macy's. Right now, so to speak. There are other people that express interest, but of course, you know, the term of COVID, things have not worked out well, so I'm trying to get that back on track now.
Okay, so that has put you far off the mark, or just a little ways back?
A little ways back, not very far. Okay. But I've learned some things, and I've made some changes to the way market. I've also made some changes of like sizes. I'm now reintroducing 500.
Okay, we have a shout out coming for you through Facebook. Fiona Griffith, she says, big up to my boy Fiber. I guess that's your nickname. Barbados, his product is excellent. Tastes fantastic. I don't drink alcohol, but I have sampled every flavor. And she's obviously enjoying it.
Thank you, Fiona.
Now, are you going to tell me what brand of rum is the base for your rum punch, or are you going to keep that secret as well?
That's another secret, because all rum is made differently. I've been asked that question by people who work with particular brands of rum, and I won't tell them. Different brands taste different. Rum is aged differently. Yes, I've done all that research. There are rums that I used first that were not very stable. But
okay,
there are 2 in particular that I use to change. And yes, they're local.
Good. Once you're staying local, we're good. Now it's time, before you get me tipsy talking about all of this rum punch, I want to thank you for joining us here this morning to share your story about entrepreneurship as well as your Island Links rum punch brand. I want to thank you so much, Lindsay Babb, and all the best to you as you try to enter those new markets.
Thank you. Have a great day.
I shall do my best, and you have a great one as well. And to you, our viewers, you have an excellent day as well. It's Wonder Wednesday. Make it as good as you possibly can. I'm Wendy Burke.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.